what should I start with? Should I start with my floor? Should I start with my walls? Should I start with any other types of layout items? There's a lot of flexibility in Revit in terms of how you want to start a project. So the first thing I start with is walls. So if I start just the top wall tool, I'm not going to do the drop down. I'm not working in any of these weird structural walls, in-place walls, and we're not going to even go over sweeps and reveals until later. So I'm just going to start the standard wall tool, and I'm going to go into the type selector. I hate these generic walls. I don't like the generic floors. I don't like the generic walls. I don't like the generic roofs. I don't like the generic ceilings. I don't even like the furniture when it looks too generic. Because the problem with these is when you opened up the building information modeler, you went and chose one of the few things in the program that doesn't really carry information. Let me show you what I mean by that. Get some generic stuff in. Yeah, you could say my walls are going to be 24 feet based on exterior location. And on top of that is going to be a generic roof that is going to have a overhang of 1 foot and a slope of, let's go ahead and just place these, and a slope of 512 with a gable. I guess technically you could use the software like this. And let's go ahead and put the roof on the roof. That's why we just spent that whole first step of establishing our levels. You could use this software for this type of conceptual massing, I guess. But you know what? Everything that I just did right there, I could have done all those same exact steps with an actual wall. And then if, even by the off chance that you didn't think your project was needing to go further than this, which I've never worked on a project on Revit that only required massing, and then the client threw money at me and said, cool, thanks, that's all I needed. I've needed to go further than this. I've needed to at least provide renderings and some three-dimensional views, even if I'm not necessarily providing the construction documents. But I'm going to go back because I was playing with generic materials and generic families, and I don't want to do that. Because I want to start by talking about the importance of location lines. So I'm going to go into the wall tool. I'm going to start the exterior brick on wood stud. And we are going to act like this building exists already. Okay, so the client sent me to a job site. The client sent me a PDF. The client handed me a bound 24 by 36 roll of documents. If a building already exists, that means that you know the measurements for the inside of the building. So I'm going to act like this building right now, for this moment, does not have any interior walls. And I'm going to turn the detail level up so that we can actually see when this person went in and site measured it. When they put down their tape measure or they put up their laser, they put their laser up against this wall, and their laser shot to the other side of the wall. And when their laser did that thing, it told us that the building is, gross, I'm not working with fractions. I'll even work with inches. I'll do 53.6. They shot their laser from this point to this point. They didn't shoot it from the frame unless it was unfinished, or for some reason there happened to be a hole in the wall over here perfectly across from where there would be another hole in the wall over here. Again, not something that happens in real life. I haven't really had to work with that. Typically, if I'm working with existing conditions, I'm shooting from drywall or gypsum or something like that to the other side and hitting other drywall or gypsum. Try not to get art pieces, frames of art pieces and such. What that means is we've gone from the interior finish of the wall to the interior finish of the other wall. Okay? So I'm going to start that wall again because this is our building existing. Over here, I'm going to mimic as if I am drawing this building that exists. So I guess technically I should throw you over here because this is the default drawing space, which is centered in all the default views. So if you can start drawing in here, you're going to save yourself a few minutes. Yeah, I think minutes is fair. And let's get another direction. My dimension string is trying to go to the center of the wall because up here in the options, dimension strings are set to automatically try to look for wall center line. You can tab to get to other items inside of Revit by just clicking tab. But to give it a fighting chance, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to tell it that I actually want to prefer to go to wall faces, because the face of this wall in this case will be gypsum. So I don't have to typically tab as much to do that. So I'm going to go from that wall to this wall. And we're going to, I can already tell that's trying to be a fraction. I'm not even going to listen to that. And we're going to change this to 42.6. No, 42.8. Let's get different numbers. So we have 53.6, 42.8. I'm going to start that wall again. I'm going to I'm going to use a little trick. I'm going to click on one of the walls. I'm going to click on Create Similar, and that will just start that same wall tool. Or you could just go into the Architecture tab, Wall Tool. And so this is where location line comes in. This is the big thing I'm talking about today. When you start the wall tool, you will see that the location line is available in the options bar and the properties palette. It's always going to be available in the properties palette because that's just going to be how it defines this wall. Whatever's in here defines this wall at all times, even after it's created. But you'll only see it up here in the options bar up here when you're drawing it, because these are all tools to help you draw the wall. This up here, the draw panel, as well as down here. These are all part of the draw tool. That brings us to these. So finish face, I told you when we first started this project, and I said that the only thing that I brainstormed was that I am going to be doing a project that exists. And I said that was already enough information for me to know which location which location line I want to use. That made me think I'm going to be using finish face, because finish face is going to be this finish face of the wall. So if I put on finish face interior and I go up and then I go over 53.6 and then down, I'm going to know that I was drawing with the location line there. And for visual representation, I want to also show finish face interior. When you're drawing a wall, you're basically just drawing a line, but you're using a line to create something that has depth. Like if you just draw a line, and I say that this line goes from this point to this point, we don't have to critically think this. The line started here, and then the line ended here. But when you have a wall tool going, and you're drawing a line, you have to ask yourself, what part of that wall am I drawing? Am I saying that that line is the front of the wall? Or in this case, the interior finish, which you could see, the interior finish, finish face interior, just like our location line says, is following our cursor. And that's because that's the part of the wall that we're drawing. If I change this to core face interior, this is more acting like we're proposing a new construction, because core face, if you ever see core in Revit, that's pretty much your stud. You can almost synonymously connect those two. If you ever see the word core in here, or when you're dimensioning, or something like that, or when something's extending into a core, which we'll go over in the future, core is stud. Whether it's residential wood studs or metal studs, or whether it's commercial wood or metal studs. So if we do core face interior and we start drawing, you're going to see that the mouse is going to go based on the core interior of the location line versus core exterior. And you can also kind of tell where it is because the magenta line, I think that magenta arrow will typically try and also follow where the actual location is. Okay, so the reason I bring this up, and the reason why I say this is important, is because one of the most common problems I see in Revit is students and professionals will start the wall tool a 20 foot by 30 foot interior building. They'll click, they'll go up 20 foot, they'll go over 30 foot, they'll go down 20 foot, they'll go over 30 foot. So because I went up 20, over 30, down 20, and over 30, that means that this is 20 by 30. Either interior or exterior. We might have done it wrong, but one way or another they should be right. Well, interior is now 29 and 7/8, not 30, so maybe it was exterior. So we look at the exterior and we see the exterior is 30 foot 11 and 1/8. So what was 30?